I'm Simon from InnovaTools, and today we're going to be installing our adjustable stand on a Tapco brake. If you have a Vanmart brake, don't worry, we have other installation videos for you on innovatools.ca. While you're there, make sure to check out all of our other great brake accessories. Speaking of great brake accessories, this is a Tapco Pro 14 that was converted to 24 inches using our InnovaTools 24-inch castings. If you have a 14 or 19-inch Tapco, the installation steps are the same. I'll start with the installation and then take you through all the adjustments to make sure everything works properly. The tools you're going to need today are a 9/16 wrench or socket, 7/16 wrench or socket, and a 1/8 Allen key. The first thing you need to do is push back on the handle and then flip the brake over on the ground or on a table. When you open the package, each leg should have a tag that identifies what position it goes to when you stand in front of the brake. So this is the back right leg. If the leg doesn't have a tag, make sure that the leg is pointing towards the extremity of the brake, that the trigger points towards the inside of the brake, and that the R identifier is for the rear and the F identifier is for the front. We're going to start by putting the clamp over the second casting for most Tapco models, except the heavy-duty models will be on the third casting. Now we'll just put the clamp over the bottom edge of the casting near the edge of the brake. You can now snug the 3/8 bolts. When installing on the Pro 19, make sure that you align the clearance slot on the clamp with the vertical ridge on the casting. For the heavy-duty Tapco brakes like the Maximum XL, you'll have to take your 5/32 Allen key and 7/16 wrench, remove this bolt and extend this arm to the long position and reinstall the bolt. We can now go ahead and do the same thing with the trigger clamp. Now that both clamps are snug, we'll go ahead and start with the preliminary adjustments. We'll start with the inside clamp, and the first thing you need to do is take the clamp and push it as far as the casting will allow you towards the outside of the brake. You can now tighten the clamp. Next, you can pull the trigger to release the leg, and while you're at it, you can test the mechanism to make sure the leg locks in place. For the trigger clamp, you can go ahead and push the clamp as close to the extremity of the brake as you can, and then tighten the bolts. Now, by applying a little bit of pressure on the leg towards the outside of the brake, you can try to align the leg into the trigger clamp. If it doesn't align properly, you can loosen the pivot clamp and bring it towards the inside of the brake to align the leg properly. With the leg properly aligned, we can now adjust the cable. Over time, the cable might stretch and the trigger will develop a play. If this happens, it might be a little more difficult to use the stand. So what you need to do is take your 1/8 Allen key and then pull on the cable lightly. You want to make sure you don't pull too hard, or the plunger for the locking mechanism will be pulled in and the leg won't lock in place anymore. You can then tighten the set screw. You only want to tighten as tight as the short section of the Allen key will allow you. Perfect. Now that this leg is installed, you can now repeat the process for the other 3 legs. With all 4 legs installed and adjusted, we can now test everything out and install the optional wheel kit. With the brake on the ground, pull the 2 triggers, lift it, and then release the triggers. Do the same thing on the other side. With the brake at your desired work height, we can now go ahead and install the wheels. We have to make sure that the wheels are on the outside of the legs, front to back, and on the inside of the legs, lengthwise. Slide the wheel onto the leg and bring it down as close to the ground as possible, and then tighten the thumb screw. You can now repeat the process on the other legs. Now lower the brake to verify that the wheels don't come in contact with the brake or with the receivers. When lowering, depending on the soil, you might need to slightly shift the brake in order for the legs to clip into place. You're now all set to use your adjustable stand. Make sure to check out all of our other great accessories at InnovaTools.ca.